Hi guys, a few of you have asked for a video on area of a triangle, so I'm going to try to go through that with you. Hopefully this will help you to get a few more marks on the non-calculator. So a couple of things just to think about before we start. Area means how much space is in a shape. Okay. We measure area by counting how many full squares would fit inside a shape. So if I were looking at a shape like, let's say this square, the area of that would be 1. And whatever that is if, we'll say for this it's a centimetre, so the area of that would be 1 centimetre squared. Similarly, if I was looking at this triangle, that would have an area of half because it only has half a square in it, so half a centimetre squared. Okay. That squared is part of the unit. It is not an operation to perform on the number of squares. Okay, it is part of the unit. Okay, so let's get cracking. Okay, so imagine I am trying to find the area of this triangle. I'm just going to show you step by step how you could do it from just knowing a little bit about area, and then we'll look at using a formula, and then I'll give you some questions to try. So the first thing I would do is to split the shape into 2 right-angle triangles, okay? We have the shape in 2 different parts, we can reduce a problem, make it easier, and just think about what we would do to find the area of one of these parts. So that's what I'll do first. Just going to grab this first part. Okay, I'm looking for the area of that. So I'm just going to show you how this triangle fits into a rectangle, and it fills half the space of that rectangle. So that rectangle we can see has an area of number of squares that fit into that shape is 3. So the triangle is half of that. So I'm not too bothered about working out what half of 3 is. I'm just going to write down that at the moment area 1 is 1 lot of 3, which is here, it's 1 wide and 3 high, divided by 2, or half of it. Okay. In a similar way, we're going to have a look at area 2. And just line it up over the square so it's easy to see how many fit inside. Make it into a rectangle again. And this shows us that area 2 is, pause the video and see if you can find an expression. I'm not too bothered about the final answer, I just want an expression. So yeah, it would be 4 lots of 3 divided by 2. So my entire area, to find my entire area, I would need to add these 2 areas together. So I'm just going to do that without working any of this out, and the reason is I want to see if it can be simplified. So A1 plus A2 is 1 times 3 over 2 plus 4 times 3 over 2. Well, they're both over 2, so we know with fractions that have the same denominator we can just add the numbers that are on top. So we've got, already we're able to make this a bit easier, 1 times 3 plus 4 times 3 over 2. We have got 1 lot of 3 and 4 more lots of 3. And we're adding those together. So if we've got 1 lot of 3 here, that's our 1 lot of 3. and 4 more lots of 3, which we're going to end up adding them all together. In total, we've got 5 lots of 3. So what we've got is 5 lots of 3. And that 5 is coming from this 1 here added together with this 4 here, the base of the 2 right angled triangles. So 5 times 3 divided by 2, that 2 is staying on the bottom because we're finding half of that rectangle. So if it makes sense to you to think of it like this, you can think of it as the base of your original rectangle, which we've seen gets added together, so it's going to be that whole base length times the height, and then you want to find half of that area. Okay, so our general term, our general formula for this is of a triangle is the base times the height. In this case it would have been 1 times 3 plus 4 times 3, which gives us 5 times 3, so we get back to that whole base being multiplied by the height. So base times height. And that, of course, would give us the area of the rectangle that contains it. We don't want that, we want half of it. So, hopefully that's helped to jog your memory. I'm going to give you a few questions to try to practice this skill. So get ready, get yourself a pen and paper, and be ready to pause the video when I get onto the examples. Okay, so here's your first question. Find the area of this triangle. Grab yourself a piece of paper, pause the video, have a go. Okay, so hopefully that's given you time to try out the question. Here's my solution for it. Whenever I see a triangle, I am thinking that it takes up half of the amount of half of the rectangle that it's in. So I'm just going to draw that rectangle around the shape, taking one of the sides as the base or the height. So then I can just think, well, it's half of the area of that rectangle. So that rectangle is 6 across and 2 up and down. So the area of this triangle has got to be 6 times 2 divided by 2, which gives me 6. 2 lots of 6 shared into 2 equal groups is just 1 lot of 6. Okay, so another way you could have kind of thought about that is to just remember your formula: base times height divided by 2. Okay. The important thing to remember when you're using this formula is that height makes us think that it has to be something up and down. In fact, these two words can be a little bit misleading. Base isn't always at the bottom. Height isn't always the up and down measurement. But they are always at right angles to each other. Okay, so this base measurement is 6, and that makes a right angle with the measurement of 2. So that's what makes them base and height. Anyway, so whatever way around you wanted to do it should give you the same answer of 6. And if one of these is a centimetre squared, as we said earlier, then this answer would be 6 centimetres squared. Get ready for another example. I am going to put it up now. So here's the example I'd like you to try. Please find the area, pause the video and have a go. Okay, so now that you've had a go, let's again think about what rectangle does this take up half of. Well, this triangle is aligned with the grid here, so I know that that's got to be part of the rectangle that I'm considering. So I'm going to continue on my rectangle out this way. That shows me that this red triangle takes up half of the space of the dotted rectangle. Okay, so it is 4 times 3, 4 times 3, and then I just want half of that because it's a triangle, it's only taking up half of that space. So that gives me 12 over 2, which is 6 centimeters, see, squared. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing for you. I'd like you to try the last one, and it is about to come up. Alright, so this question was a little bit different. It didn't have squares on it, so it had measurements instead. So instead of counting the squares to find out the width, we've already got that done for us, but the numbers are a little bit bigger. Okay, so I need to think about what rectangle would that take up half of. So I'm going to take my pen and go, okay, well, if that was the base there, then that could be one of the rectangles that it takes up half of. And I know the height of that is given to me, it's 12, and the base is 21, so I'm good to go. 12 times 21 divided by 2. Well, 12 lots of 21 shared into 2 equal groups is going to give me 6 lots of 21. 6 lots of 20, 6 lots of 2 is 12, so 6 lots of 20 is 120, and 6 lots of 1 is 6, so that gives me 126 centimeters squared. Okay, I don't need to square the number 126, that squared goes with the unit. Alright, so that's the end of the video. Hopefully it was useful for you. I will be making another one shortly on trapeziums. All the best with your revision. Do get in touch if there's anything that you need. Okay, bye.